Hello, the Annals of Wales, a collection of Latin chronicles thought to date from the mid-10th century and compiled from unknown sources, survive in 13th century copies. A version at the British Library names King Arthur as leading the Britons to victory against an Anglo-Saxon army at the Battle of Badon in the early 6th century, tentatively around AD 516, and 21 years later tells of Arthur's last battle, the strife of Camlann, in which it says Arthur and Mordred perished. Arthur's nephew Mordred becomes the traitor Mordred in the later legends, and Arthur is mortally wounded but doesn't die at Camlann. Whether Arthur and Mordred were fighting together or on opposing sides isn't made clear in the annals. Neither can we be sure this episode wasn't added in the 10th century after the Arthurian legend had taken root. However, it is important to note there is no dispute that other characters from the 5th and 6th centuries named in the annals, St. Patrick and St. Columba for example, existed. There was a Roman fort on Hadrian's wall called Camboglanna, on a high bluff overlooking the Cambec Valley. Could this be the site of the Battle of Camlann? It's also been suggested, from the superficial similarity of the name, as a candidate for Camelot, where King Arthur's court was said to be located, although the name Camelot doesn't appear in the legends until the 12th century. Moving the action to the north of Britain lends appeal to the theory that our Arthur figure was leading a remnant of the Roman 6th Legion cavalry, largely made up of Eurasian Sarmatian horsemen, originating in an area north of the Black Sea, centred on modern Ukraine. It's estimated that as many as 15,000 of these highly mobile cavalrymen were stationed at Carlisle, guarding Hadrian's wall over the 3rd and 4th centuries. It's highly likely many would have married and settled, and not all would have left when the Roman legions departed around 410. Ongoing excavations at the Roman fort of Burd Oswald in Cumbria have produced finds and a large timber building built on the site of a former Roman granary, strongly suggesting high status occupation into the early 6th century. It's not the only fort on Hadrian's wall where archaeology has shown occupation continuing in the post-Roman period. This Roman tombstone in the Grosvenor Museum in Chester is thought to commemorate a Sarmatian. Sarmatians were among the first horsemen to adopt full use of stirrups, which gave a significant advantage in battle, wore an early form of plate armour, and probably rode larger horses than native British breeds. This image, taken from a 3rd century graffito excavated in modern Syria, now in the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art, gives an impression. Interestingly, the Sarmatians had two emblems: a red dragon, a symbol later adopted by the early Welsh kings, and a sword in a stone. And in Sarmatian folklore, a warrior's sword is thrown into the sea on his death, similar to the return of Excalibur to the Lady of the Lake by Sir Bedivere in Thomas Malory's telling of the Arthurian story. This has echoes of the ritually deposited weapons dating from the Bronze and Iron Ages that have been found in many rivers and lakes. The sword in the stone, which in Arthurian legend a young Arthur draws to prove he is the rightful king of the Britons, is undoubtedly a metaphor for the casting of a bronze sword blade in a stone or clay mould by metalsmiths whose understanding of the necessary skills would have seemed magical at the time. And although a redundant technology in post-Roman Britain, it's likely the memory would have been preserved in tales handed down through the generations. Next time, I'm going to explore some fascinating insights from a poem telling of events in the late 6th century, in which, if only in a related aside, Arthur appears by name. The Godothin, or the Book of Aneurin, a bard praised in the work attributed to Nennius for his poetry. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available, or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.